smoothest tennis player? Not who you'd expect at all.
Amazing skills from Rios.
Marcelo Ríos glided across the court like no other. Chile's tennis prodigy with unmatched finesse and style. But behind the smooth shots and flashy moves lies a story both tragic and beautiful. A journey that stunned the tennis world and left fans wondering what might have been. Born in Santiago, Chile in 1975, Marcelo Ríos was never the typical tennis player. Though his small frame wasn't athletic, his natural aptitude couldn't be denied. It was evident from a young age that Ríos was not just playing the game, rather he was redefining it. Born in a nation not renowned for tennis supremacy, Ríos quickly made a name for himself with his natural elegance and razor-sharp court instincts. His play was about accuracy, inventiveness, and a sixth sense for the perfect shot, not about brute force or sheer might. Marcelo was already attracting attention globally for his lateness. He demonstrated a level of composure and talent beyond his age in the junior circuit. He became world-renowned in tennis after winning the US Open Juniors, a remarkable feat. It was a statement, not only a prize, confirmation of what many already thought, that Marcelo Ríos was meant for greatness. He finished that season as the top junior player in the world. Early success prepared his entry onto the ATP professional circuit. Both tennis enthusiasts and professionals were anxious to see what this young Chilean might accomplish against the heavy hitters. Ríos was poised to revolutionize the tennis world with his distinctive combination of fluid movement and imaginative shooting. Marcelo's play was founded on subtlety, unlike many others that depend much on power. Striking the ball with a smoothness that made difficult shots look easy, he danced about the court. His timing and agility let him come up with angles and moves that had opponents running from the start. It was evident Ríos was an artist rather than only gifted. But behind that slick exterior was a ferocious competitor wanting to establish himself in history. The tennis community followed Marcelo Ríos closely as he went from promising junior to professional, looking for the moment when he would declare himself among the best in the sport. Okay, picture this. 18-year-old Marcelo Ríos, baby-faced and wild-haired, waltzes onto the clay at Roland Garros in '94. Who's waiting for him across the net? Oh, just Pete Sampras, you know, the guy who practically owned tennis back then. Most kids would have probably peed their shorts. Not Ríos. The dude had this crazy cool swagger, like he'd been doing this forever, or maybe just didn't care who Sampras was. Either way, people were watching. Sure, the scoreboard says he lost in straight sets. On paper, it looks routine. Except, nah, nothing about it was routine. Ríos was out there whipping shots with this effortless, almost cocky elegance. Dude played like he was floating. And man, the attitude, he had that, I could be modeling or stealing your girlfriend, but I'm here instead kind of vibe. Commentators started buzzing, fans started gawking, and you could just tell this was not another cookie-cutter rookie grinding away. Ríos was a show. Honestly, that match wasn't about some boring stat line. It was like he'd scribbled his name all over the court announcing, "Hey, tennis, get ready for something different." From that day, everyone realized Ríos wasn't just here to play, he was here to flip the script.
Number one in the world, we at Lipton salute you for winning the Lipton Championship this year. You're only the second Latin American to ever be rated number one in the world. What a great honor. We congratulate you.
Marcelo Ríos, man, that dude was shaking up tennis like nobody's business back in the late 90s. 22 years old, skinny as heck, and suddenly, boom, he's the first Latin American ever to snag the ATP World #1 spot. Total game changer, not just for him, but for basically everyone south of the equator with a tennis racket. That Miami Open final against Agassi? Wild. I mean, Agassi's a legend, right? But Ríos just made him look, well, mortal. The guy was gliding around, hitting these shots that almost seemed to break physics. It was less tennis, more wizardry. Like, who even moves like that? Nobody. That's who. Agassi himself, no slouch in the trash talk department, straight up said Rios was the most talented player he'd ever faced. That's not your grandma giving you a gold star. That's Agassi. High praise. But here's the weird, almost tragic twist. Rios never won a Grand Slam. Not one. Still hit #1 though. He's the only guy ever to do that. His best shot was the '98 Aussie Open. But Sampras, took him out cold in the final. Straight sets too. Brutal. Honestly, Rios' whole legacy is kind of bittersweet. He changed how people played, brought this weird mix of flair, guts, and precision nobody had seen before. But his story is proof that being ranked #1 doesn't always mean you've made it in the way the history books like to tell it. Sometimes greatness is just a little more complicated. Seeing Marcelo Ríos at his best was comparable to seeing a genuine artist paint on the court. His shot making was amazing. He had impeccable winners, swift changes in pace, and deft angles. Off the charts was his tennis IQ. He seemed to forecast every action before it came. His excellent agility and deft strokes let him slide easily from baseline to net, leaving opponents always guessing. His inventiveness and flair astonished tennis legends. Simply said, Rios played with a grace and delicacy rare among many. Regrettably, injuries soon eclipsed Marcelo Ríos' ability. Recurring issues began to wear him down in 1999, mostly painful sports hernias and back problems. He had to have surgery midway through the season, and his body started betraying him more often. He still managed to win 3 titles despite his agony, finishing the year rated world #9. Still, 2000 was more difficult. Aiming for just 1 title in Umag, Rios battled for consistency. His ranking dropped outside the top 30. The physical problems were piling up. This signaled the onset of a terrible fall. Images of the ancient Marcelo Ríos flashed, reminding fans of his once brilliant brilliance in 2001. However, yet again, a severe ankle injury necessitating surgery stopped his momentum. His gift clashed with his body without ceasing. Continuous pain and injuries kept pulling him back just when he appeared set to shine. These years, which ought to have been the height of his career, instead developed into an aggravating struggle against physical constraints. Though his body wouldn't cooperate, converting hope into anguish, the elegance and talent remained. Rios began the 2002 season with a quarterfinal run in Australia and semifinals in Miami. But then came the worst blow, a stress fracture in his back that needed 2 operations. The agony never really passed away. His body had collapsed entirely by 2003. He battled to complete games and lost his competitive edge. Admitting his body had nothing left to give, Marcelo Ríos officially retired in 2004 at just 28 years old after a demanding 2003 season. An outstandingly gifted career was brought to an abrupt halt by unending injury. With an incredible 18 ATP titles and the historic accomplishment of being the first Latin American man to hold the world #1 ranking, Marcelo Ríos concluded his career. His ascent to the pinnacle was revolutionary and motivated a generation of tennis players from a region long ignored in the tennis world. But the way Ríos played the game distinguishes him more than just the numbers or ratings. On the court, he was a portrait of simple brilliance. His elegant, flowing approach made the most challenging shots seem simple. His shot making is innovative beyond contrast, his strokes exact, and his movement elegant. Seeing Marcelo was like seeing an artist performing live. He was a delight to watch since he could read the game and predict his opponent's actions. The sense of what could have been is maybe the most unsettling aspect of Ríos' legacy. Injuries took away his best years and reduced his Grand Slam success prospects. Many think that if his body had kept up, he might have reigned over the sport for years, accumulating significant trophies and guaranteeing himself as one of the all-time greats. Rather, we are left with flashes of greatness and a career defined by both spectacular peaks and excruciating lows. Marcelo Ríos is still a symbol of raw talent and lost promise. He will always be known for his court artistry.
Professional, I did my job already professional, and this is like my second chance to play tennis, but enjoy it.
And how do you fit that around your...
Man, Marcelo Ríos just kind of dropped off the face of the earth after hanging up his racket at 28. Seriously, the dude didn't even bother with the usual ex-player gig. No coaching, no chirpy TV commentary, nothing. Instead, what about his life after tennis? Pretty rough, honestly. There were headlines about him getting arrested a few times, stuff like fights with cops and ugly domestic blow-ups. Wild considering this was the same cool, unflappable guy people once idolized on the court. Behind closed doors, things weren't any prettier. Ríos wrestled with booze, drugs, and all the classic post-fame traps. His rare interviews? Yikes. Almost always awkward, like you're watching a guy being chased by ghosts he can't shake. The spark he brought to tennis? Gone, replaced by this gloomy chaos. You look at his story and, man, it's just sad. All that talent, all that potential, just buried under a personal mess. It's a harsh reminder. Athletic fame doesn't come with a happiness guarantee, and stepping out of the spotlight can be brutal. Just because someone's a legend on the court doesn't mean life outside isn't messy as hell. Marcelo Ríos may not have won a Grand Slam, but his artistry and impact on tennis are unforgettable. If you appreciate his story, like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring sports legends. Hit the bell to never miss a moment of greatness beyond the trophies.